great event and having us here. Anytime. Alright. My name is Mandeep Sedha, or Mandy for short. My full-time job is to look after these three boys. And I also work as a director of cyber product management based in Singapore at Mastercard. I'm here today to talk to you about managing the risk of ransomware in the supply chain. Now, as security professionals, we've all seen multiple. Sorry about this. We've all seen multiple headlines of ransomware events, of cyber attacks happening at organizations globally. And even if you look around in the room today, there are a lot of materials, there's a lot of discussion that is happening on how do you protect your own organization from the risk of ransomware. But my sense is that there's little discussion happening for the supply chain. But why is that important in the first place? So I was a cybersecurity practitioner in financial institutions before I joined Mastercard. And I was guilty of this when I first started. When we look at our third-party risk management program, we tend to identify the top 25, top 50 critical vendors. And we base it on things like who has access to our systems, who has access to our data. And honestly, it's not a bad starting point. But the problem becomes when we have events like Log4j, events like SolarWinds, we realize the way that we are managing our third party, which is just the innermost circle, it's not enough, and we need to do more. In fact, our supply chain network looks something similar to this winded roundabout, where you have 7 different roundabouts all trying to come together, but without creating chaos. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think I can drive in this. So this kind of reinforces on how we should look at our supply chain. Where can it go wrong? Do you have that situational awareness of your third parties, of your fourth parties, all the way to the nth layer, to understand what can go wrong in that supply chain? Do you know where in that supply chain, if one of your third parties go down, what kind of business disruptions will happen at your end? So at Mastercard, we've done a study of 633 organizations who were publicly impacted by a ransomware in the last 5 years. And when you talk about ransomware, there are 2 dimensions to it. There's the theft of data due to data encryption, and there's the aspect of disruption of operations caused by the system encryption. So in our methodology and analysis, we took the disruption of operations into consideration. Not because data theft is not important, but we feel in today's day and age, CISOs and third-party risk professionals do have to consider business operations as a new dynamic. We also took a look at what was the cybersecurity posture of the organizations that were impacted by ransomware. And from that, we gathered 5 key takeaways that you can take back into your organization and hopefully improve the way that you are managing your supply chain and your third parties. The graph here on the left shows the breakdown of the ransomware events, and as you can see, it's largely in the last 3 years where there's an increase in the ransomware attacks. So let's deep dive into some of the key insights that we saw from our analysis. First of all, ransomware is targeting everyone. As you can see on the word cloud here, there is no industry which is not here, right? From the 633 organizations that we analyzed, we saw largely the ransomware cases impacting healthcare, education, and government cities, which is interesting because if you look back at it last 10, 15 years ago, so mostly the cyber attacks were impacting financial institutions. But now, as more businesses are going online, as more data becomes available online, there are more avenues for the cyber attackers to enter your organization, to disrupt your systems, and monetize that data. Hence the increase in the number of industries that we're seeing today. This next slide is outside of the 633 events, but I thought it would be interesting to show what are the top industries in Indonesia that we are seeing are being impacted by cyber attacks. So you have your government and public administration organizations at 22%, your IT software solutions at 18%, and 11% in banking, finance, and transportation aviation. Another reality is that ransomware knows no borders. Now, from our 633 organizations that we analyzed, we saw a widespread across the globe. There are some countries where you would see more number of ransomware cases as compared to the others. But I will take this data with a little pinch of salt. And I say this because, as we've seen with the COVID requirements in reporting, it's not consistent throughout the world. There are some countries who have stricter requirements around reporting of COVID cases, and in some countries it's not so strict. Same goes for ransomware reporting. In some countries like the US, they have a lot more stringent requirements around reporting of ransomware as compared to the others. So again, it is a global problem and we do all need to come together to solve it. In the last 3 years of our study that we did, we saw about 59 different ransomware groups that have evolved. And with Revel taking the top spot at 14%, followed by Humpty, followed by WannaCry. Now, it is encouraging to see that law enforcement agencies, along with the governments, along with the private industries, we're all working together to track and stop these ransomware groups. But as more data becomes available online, you would see evolution of these ransomware groups, even in the future. So there is a need to continuously keep track of these ransomware gangs and understand how can they impact your own organization. In this section, let's have a look at what was the cybersecurity posture like of the ransomware victims. What were the cybersecurity gaps that these attackers compromised and entered into the organization? And also, let's take a step back to understand how did Mastercard even get this data in the first place? So we used a tool called Risk Recon, which is a product of Mastercard. And we went into the tool to analyze the cyber posture of the 633 organizations. We did this at the time when the ransomware happened, as well as months and years after that, to understand how did the cyber posture evolve. And we could do this because Risk Recon was already scanning these organizations. So what is Risk Recon? Risk Recon is a continuous third-party risk assessment solution. Organizations like Bukalapak, like Honest Bank, they're using us to identify the security gaps on their external facing servers, as well as their supply chain. So to give you an analogy, think of it this way. If you are looking at a house and you see broken windows, you see that there is no front door on the lock, and you see there are no security cameras, would you feel safe to keep your crown jewels in that house? I know I wouldn't. Risk Recon does a similar scan of your digital IT infrastructure and identifies the security gaps that can be compromised from an attacker. Just one slide. We scan across 9 different security domains, like application security, network services, and underlying that, we have thousands and thousands of checks that are done on a continuous basis to come up with this report. We also do a simple way of showcasing the data from A to F, which is a very simple way of saying good versus bad cybersecurity hygiene. Okay, so this slide shows the cybersecurity conditions of the 633 organizations that we analyzed at the time of the ransomware. And these are not all of the issues that were picked up, it's just some that I'd like to share with you all here today. Now, in general, what we saw that the cybersecurity conditions were far off from a general organization that has not been breached through a cyber attack or a ransomware event. And if you just look down the list, these are quite basic controls like software patching. Our tool, RiskRecon, can assess medium or higher vulnerabilities on your external facing servers. And in our study, 58% of the organization had 11, on average, 11 issues. So that means 11 vulnerabilities on your external facing servers that has not been patched. Again, going down the list, unsafe network services, things like your IDP, your printers, your database, anything that the attackers can enter your organization, right? And 33% of them, on average, had 5 issues with the way that they had configured their network security. Another key issue that pops out is the application security issues. Things like missing HTTPS security headers or having admin console being accessible to the internet. 55% of the organizations on average have 9 issues. And if you compare this with the general populations, in some cases we're seeing that the issues are 11 times higher than what they should be. And in some cases, like email security issues is 8.5 times higher. Now, with this data, what do you really do with it? If you are working with your suppliers whose cybersecurity posture looks like this, I would be worried because there are chances that they can get impacted by ransomware, right? And as a result, they can disrupt your service to your customers, and as a result, disrupt the business operations. Now, mapping this to a rating from A to F, which is a risk-recon rating, we're largely seeing that the organizations fall under D and F. And to give you a comparison, we typically see the large banks globally, not just Indonesia, they fall under the rating of A and B, whereas universities, they're being rated as D. So again, if you are working with your critical suppliers who have an average rating of D and F, they are 40 times more likely to be breached by ransomware. So do have a look at who your suppliers are, what their cybersecurity conditions look like. So that was the intersection between the data sets and the risk. And now really comes to the question of, so what? Yes, the ransomware groups are increasing, but what does that mean to you, your organizations, and how can you improve your third-party risk management program? And this is critical because when you talk about your own infrastructure, when you talk about your own organization, you have access to the infrastructure, you have access to the investments, you have access to the priorities of the controls that you want to deploy. But this is not necessarily the case when you talk about your supply chain network. So what do? First lesson, do business with suppliers who have good cybersecurity hygiene. To give you another analogy here, I was once at a car wash, and they had a signboard saying that cars that are washed regularly are likely to have a longer lifespan of 20%. Now, in the first go, you really think about it, you say, what is the correlation of washing a car and increasing the lifespan? But when you really think about it, owners of the cars that are washing their car regularly are likely to take it for maintenance regularly, are likely to keep their car clean internally as well. So it's not just your external, but your internal posture as well. Similarly, organizations that are managing their cybersecurity well from on the external facing servers are likely to adopt similar practices internally. So again, going back to the analogy of the house, you would feel safe keeping your crown jewels in organizations that have no broken windows, that have proper locks on the door, and have sufficient security elements. In fact, you should be assessing the cybersecurity posture of the organization even before they're onboarded into your organization. I'm sure right now when you're onboarding the suppliers, you do financial diligence checks, you do business registration checks. Are you doing cyber at that time? If not, you should consider and make sure that you're doing business with the right-minded people. Lesson number 2, revisit your supplier inherit risk rating. Beginning of the organization, beginning of this presentation, I did give you a case by, we tend to identify our top suppliers based on who has our data, who is accessing our systems, who has our intellectual property. But it's not enough. There are suppliers out there that would not be connected to your systems, that would not have your data, but still be operationally dependent. So we do need to add this dimension into our calculation of the inheritance rating. And what you'll then see is that a lot of your low-risk suppliers will automatically be bumped into the critical and your high-risk vendors. And that is what you should be monitoring as a true top 25 or top 50 vendors that you should be assessing. Lesson number 3. Ensure your operationally important suppliers have a 24/7 operations. Now, as part of our study of the 633 organizations, we could identify the exact day the ransomware was detonated. And as you can see on the graph here, there is no percentage which is less than 12%. So attackers are working 24/7, 7 days a week. And if you just look at the percentages on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, this alone is just 46%. Which kind of makes sense if you think about it. Over the weekend, you don't have the full force of your IT support in the office. So the cyber attackers are using that downtime in your office, entering your organization, spreading the ransomware before your teams come back on Monday. So it is essential for you to work with organizations, especially your critical suppliers, to provide a 24/7 operations. So in the event that there is an attack or a ransomware in that organization, they can quickly contain it without disrupting your business operations, without disrupting the service that you are providing to your customers. Lesson number 4. Don't assume ransomware victims have improved their cybersecurity conditions. Now, for security professionals who have been in the field for a very long time, there is an old tale that organizations that have been breached, they get their investments easily and they can fix all their problems. But our data is actually showing otherwise. We analyzed the 633 companies 1 year later, and we realized that there are still issues. If not, they've gotten worse than what they was actually. So we still see issues in unsafe network services, application security issues, web encryption issues. So don't assume that organizations, just because they've been breached, they would fix their problems. They don't. Hence the need to continuously monitor the third parties. Okay, to sum it up, ransomware is here to stay. It will evolve as we go by. So you do need to update your risk management program regularly. Update your policies, update your standards, revisit your inherent risk rating model, and especially look at your assessment criteria and assessment procedures. In my time in the banking industry, and I'm sure a lot of your organizations are doing this as well, you use a manual risk assessment for your suppliers. You give it to your suppliers, they fill it up, or in some cases they won't fill up the Excel sheet and they give you a SOC 2 report, they give you an ISO 27000 report. But we now know that managing and assessing your security on a static basis is not sufficient, and there is a need to do more. You do need to use a continuous form of third-party risk management assessment. So that's all I have for you today. If you haven't already, do visit us at our booth at the back, and we can actually run a diagnostic of your own organization or for your suppliers, and we can show you what kind of security gaps are we really looking at right now. If you don't want to come to us, you can also request for a free demo online. We will reach out to you individually one-on-one. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you very much. we please give a big round of applause for Miss Mandeep Sedha?